Hey everybody, Mike Pence here. Remember $2 a gallon gas? I do. And then Joe Biden became president of the United States and launched his war on energy. Since that time, gasoline prices are up 60%. Electricity prices are up 25%. Joe Biden's war on energy is causing real hardship for working families, small businesses, and family farms. But we've got a plan to relieve all of that. We just unveiled the Pence energy plan that'll not only put our country back on a path to energy independence, but by 2040, we will reclaim America's role as the leading producer of energy in the world. Join us in the fight for American energy leadership by going to MikePence2024.com. We can lead the world once again to a more prosperous and a secure future for America with energy independence and American energy leadership.
Mike Pence. It's crazy to think how this guy was the number 2, the second man in line to be president just in case something happened. He was pretty quiet while he was with Trump. He only talked when he absolutely had to, kept his conversations, public conversations, to a minimum. And I see why, for very good reason, because now that this man is running for president and he's opening his mouth, people dislike him every single time, dislike him more and more. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
This is what happens when we have leading voices like Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Ron Desantis signaling retreat from America's role as leader of the free world.
The Hamas attack in Israel is Trump's fault and DeSantis' fault. So you're using a terrorist attack to boost your campaign, to boost your dead campaign already. Just give it a rest. Just go home already. Because what you're saying is absolutely ridiculous. DeSantis summed up Mike Pence pretty good really quickly. Let's take a look.
Mike Pence is attacking you for being what he on the issue of Israel, saying that this is what happens when we have leading voices like Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis signaling a retreat from America's role as a leader in the free world.
If Mike Pence wants to blame me for what's happening, I think that most people would just laugh at that. What a joke.
Would you eliminate?
So this guy's a joke, man. Pence is desperately trying to garner support from the never Trumpers, from the people in the establishment who don't want someone like Trump in power, even though nobody even knew who the hell Mike Pence was until Trump picked him. You talk about disloyalty. I see what Trump means now, because Mike Pence is using a tragic situation to try to score political points, to try to say this is all Trump's fault. Trump's policies led to this, when everybody knows that that's not true. You think you're going to garner support from Republicans by blaming a terrorist attack on Trump. You can gain some praise and a pat on the back for Democrats. The Democrats would never, ever, ever vote for you. You can kiss their ass, but they're not going to vote for you. They'll pat you on the back and say, yes, it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. Even though they don't like you, they're going to discard you like they did Liz Cheney. But the Republicans are just going to dislike you more. What the hell are you doing? You're just committing political suicide. You were vice president for 4 years. You had your run. You were a governor. You were a congressman. Go to hell home. Enjoy all that money that you took as a neocon. And he's completely wrong on this anyway, trying to talk about Trump's policies. Because first of all, Trump blocked money to Hamas. He blocked money to Iran. He blocked money to Palestine because he knew what the hell they were doing. You give these guys money, a lot of this money is funneled up to the Hamas organization, and they just use it to conduct acts of terror like they just did. He knew that Iran was working with Hezbollah and Hamas, training them, using money. He criticized when Obama sent $1.5 billion over there to Iran, and Joe Biden just sent $6 billion over there. Trump was blocking money to Iran because he knew what they could do. Trump wasn't worried about Iran. Trump had Iran second guessing on what they would do. Remember, Trump killed Soleimani, that top general, second in command, whatever the hell his rank and position was, however you say his name. He killed this guy, this high-ranking Iranian guy, and bragged about it. The guy was on TV making up stories, laughing about it, talking about the spec ops had him cornered, and he was crying like a dog. He made a joke about killing one of the highest-ranking Iranians. And these Iranians wanted to retaliate so bad, but they were afraid because they didn't know what Trump would do or how he'd react. Trump met with Kim Jong-un twice trying to work out some type of peace. He wasn't saying just shut up, give up your nuclear program, just do what we say. He said, look, I'll try to negotiate with these guys. I'll try to tell them how working with us can benefit them. Remember that time Trump was talking about North Korea has some good beach property. We can do a lot of real estate work up here. We can make some partnerships. You guys got a lot of potential. So he was trying to make negotiations to show ways that the U.S. and North Korea could work together instead of constantly being at odds. Trump met with Putin. He talked good about Putin because he understands that Russia is a major power and you don't want to incite a major war in Europe. Something that Biden didn't know about, something that those clowns in Biden's cabinet and Biden's handlers, national security team, those dumbasses, they had no idea. All they do is talk crap about Putin. Putin's a murderer, Putin this, Putin that. Like Nikki Haley, her favorite line, Putin's a murderer. Give us more money for our defense contractors because Putin's a murderer. But Trump tried to calm things down with North Korea. He tried to calm things down with Putin. He took money from Hamas. He took money from Iran. So what the hell is Mike Pence talking about? Trump's policies led up to this terrorist attack. But like I said, Mike Pence, just go home, man. So let's look at what Vivek had to say in response to this.
Please tell me what you are thinking, especially in light of the news that Mike Tobin of Fox News has brought to viewers today, just a few hours ago, that Israeli soldiers have finally made it into some of the attacked areas and have found decapitated infants.
I mean, this is inhumane. These are war crimes. And Israel's response should be decisive, as I expect that it will be. And the U.S. role here should absolutely be to stand with Israel diplomatically, intelligence sharing, going further and providing munitions where needed for Israel to preserve its national existence. Israel has a right to defend its borders. Israel has a right to defend its national existence. And the United States should absolutely be behind Israel as it does, while also making sure, and I think this is critical, that we do not see a broader war in the Middle East that would not advance U.S. interests. I think we can do both of those things effectively, and I do think it's going to take a cool-headed, rational, but decisive response behind Israel to make sure the right thing happens here.
Okay, let's talk about U.S. interests. Israel is the only democracy in the entire region.
That's correct.
Colonel Ralph Peters once said to me, Israel is the only democracy, the only smart-thinking nation between Greece and Australia. I mean, there's a huge area in between. That includes Russia, Iran, a lot of the Middle Eastern countries. But that's the interest that we have, that, I hate to say friend, because we know that countries don't have friends, they have interests. But don't you think that that means that forever and a day the United States needs to fund and support militarily Israel?
Well, I've said very clearly since day one and all along is that we will not cut off aid to Israel until Israel tells us they're ready for it. People say, what nation would ever say that? The one nation that said it was actually Israel when it was led by Bibi in the mid-1990s when it came to civilian aid. So that's how deep our relationship runs.
Civilian aid is different from military support.
Absolutely. And so the U.S. will not cut off aid to Israel until Israel tells us they're ready for it. But right now we have a much more serious emergency on our hands, and we need to talk about how to respond to that right now. And I do think that one of the careful things that we need to make sure of here is that we are supporting Israel. Israel is able to defend itself and its own borders, while at the same time making sure that does not lead us down the siren song of a road to a prolonged and extended, broader regional war in the Middle East. That is something that we should also be able to lead diplomatically to avoid. So I think intelligence sharing, diplomatic support, telling the UN its historical practice of equating a false moral equivalence between Israel's defense of itself versus the enemies that attack Israel, we're not going to stand for that. But at the same time, we have to take a leadership role that is sound and level-headed.
I want to get to the southern border in 1 second, but before we go on this, as we said, the USS Gerald Ford steamed very quickly to the region. It has arrived on Israel's shores. If it came down to it, if you were president and things got ugly, we've got at least four American hostages, 14 Americans killed by the terrorists. Would you put boots on the ground if it came to that?
Well, look, I think that part of America First means leaving no American left behind. And so I do think that there can be room for looking at various options to get our American hostages back home. Beyond that, I think our job is to stand behind Israel as Israel decides what its correct response is going to be. Historically, Israel has had some debates internally about whether or not they want control over Gaza or not. Those are pros and cons for Israel. That's a decision for Israel to make.
So Vivek, he's trying to tiptoe around it because Vivek has a certain position of America first. So Vivek doesn't like the idea that the United States sends about $4 billion a year to Israel. On top of that, the United States is sending even more money over there, sending military power over there to support Israel. Vivek is like, you guys are spending all this money doing all of this and that, but we have problems at home. We have problems with the border. We have problems with the cartels. Where's the priority? So Vivek wants America's priority to be America. He wants Israel to stand on his own 2 feet. But he's understanding the political climate with the donors, with the uniparty, with the evangelical voter bloc, with a lot of people who want to support Israel still. He understands the political climate, so he has to talk about supporting Israel right now and say, well, maybe in the future, Israel is standing on his own 2 feet. We won't have to get them billions of dollars. But at the same time, Vivek is trying to say, let's put America first. If we want to send all this money to Israel, how about we spend money at home first? How about if you guys want to send $4 billion a year to Israel, let's make a deal. You send $4 billion over there to Israel, give us another $4 billion to use to help homeless veterans and to help secure the border even more efficiently. But it's crazy that even somebody like Vivek, even as he stands as an independent thinker, he usually doesn't go along with the neocons. Even somebody like him is pulled into this, let's support Israel no matter what, spend money, send military power over there, wage war in the Middle East. Because these Israelis and the Jewish population in the U.S., they have such a hold on the U.S. government. These Jews hold major political power through lobbying. You have dozens of congressmen and senators who are Jewish, and a lot of these guys have dual citizenships in Israel, which I think shouldn't be allowed at all. You should not be allowed to serve in the U.S. Congress while you have a dual citizenship with Israel or any other country, because now your loyalty becomes questionable. U.S. citizenship only. If you want to be in Congress, renounce your citizenship for whatever country. But as it currently stands, they have a lot of lobbying power, a lot of political power, a lot of political loyalty. So Vivek has to jump on board. And all of these other neocons, they're just itching for war anyway. They're beating the war drum. So they're ready for it. Hey, before you go, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Share the video. Thank you for watching.